guys, this is Sarah French. You are listening to Don't Go Out There podcast.
They've conquered the big screen. Now, get ready for the spin-off sure to send chills down your spine. It's Nico, Brian, Mike, and Dustin in Don't Go Out There, the series.
Welcome back, everybody, to DGOT, the series. We really appreciate y'all listening. We hope y'all have been enjoying these series reviews. I know we have. It's been a lot of fun. Just want to give a quick shout out to our website, don'tgoouthere.com. Everything about our podcast is on the website. All of our episodes and interviews, if you want to check those out. We've done some incredible interviews in the past. Go check them out there in a specific tab by themselves so you don't have to scroll through hundreds of episodes on Apple or Spotify, etc. We also have our store if you want to grab a shirt, a mouse pad, a hat, all that good stuff. We'd love to see your pictures, rep your favorite podcast. And Shan's Etsy page is also attached if you want to grab a tumbler. All of our social media links are on there as well. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. Like us, subscribe us, follow us, all that good stuff. And the last thing I want to shout out on our website is our Patreon. We call it Blood Donors. We have the traditional monthly reoccurring kind. If you want to support us, help us pay the bills, as we say. Or if there's a movie you want us to review, that option is available as well. Just check out our website, don'tgoouthere.com. Also, if you haven't noticed, we've recently joined the Believe Network. So there's some ads on our program now. But if you want ad-free content, go check us out on Blood Donors. The ad-free episodes will be available there. We appreciate your support. We have just concluded Dahmer, Monsters, whatever you want to call it. And now we are starting a new series, Brother Brian's Pick. Brian, go ahead and announce Matt Sears' pick for this. I'm just kidding. Go ahead and announce your pick, brother.
Zombie outbreaks, rage viruses. I mean, I picked this, and then I picked World War Z next week. So I must have just been on a zombie bender. So sorry, we pimped your zombie ride here and put undead on top of your undead. But yeah, disclaimer. I played very little of the video game. Friend of the show, like you mentioned, Matt Sears, who was on me forever about playing that game, even gave me the game, I think. But I couldn't get into it. But when season 2 of the show came out, I was like, okay, it's time for me to watch this. So I decided I'd just pick it on here for us to do as a family. Now, disclaimer, I did watch the first season. I liked it a lot. Now, I'm 2 episodes into the second season, and I've almost gotten to the point where I kind of don't want to watch anymore. And, I may not unless we pick it for here. So, and okay, I mean, I know this is going to sound... It's going to sound like me regurgitating what the internet says, but I promise this is truly my opinion. Sorry, Lyanna Mormont from Game of Thrones, Bella Ramsey, is miscast here. Caitlin Dever, I'm going to have to look that up too, who plays Abby later on, who we'll get to, should have 100% been Ellie, in my opinion. It's really hard for me to get past that, especially later on, and I don't want to spoil anything. And I think Bella Ramsey is a great actress. I just don't like her in this role, is all. But just focusing on this episode, Pedro Pascal carries this season, and this episode is basically a movie and the start to a really good season.
Yeah, I'll go next. I have not played the video game, and I've not seen this program before, so I think that's a fun fact for all 4 of us. I don't think any of us had seen this going into it. I think you picked it so we'd be forced to watch it, and I'm fine with that. We have been doing a lot of zombies, though. 28 days later, we just did a reaction of 28 years later. We got World War Z next week, so there's a lot of zombie stuff going on. Walking Dead Season 2 was probably the most fun I've had on the show in a long time. That was a good time. But back to this show, The Last of Us Season 1, Episode 1. This was a long episode, and to me, it was just a roller coaster. Like, I thought some of the stuff was really, really good, but once we got to the city, I just really didn't care anymore. But like the stuff with Pedro and the Uncle Tommy and his daughter, that was really good. Like, I was invested. But then we get to the city and, like, we got to find a car battery. I just don't give a damn. Maybe I just need to play the game. But overall, I thought the episode 1 was fine. I think they could have broken it up into 2 episodes, to be honest with you. So, I don't know. It just didn't feel like it was so bloated runtime. God, I had to catch myself on that one.
What were you going to say?
Nothing. I just thought the episode was fine. It had some really high highs, but it also kind of just drug in some spots. Go ahead, Mike.
All right. Brian, I love you, buddy. You're like a brother to me. Are you going to pick a different genre anytime soon? God almighty, man. We have done so many of these motherfuckers, man. And we got World War Z on tap. We got a whole long-ass season of this show of post-apocalyptic viruses spreading and shit. Listen, I'm more of a fan. I'm glad you said what you said, Nico. I'm more of a fan of finding out how the catastrophe happens than I am living in the post-apocalyptic world. There's so many of those shows and movies. I said it when we just did 28 Days Later. I feel the same way about this that I do about that. Now, I will say this is better than that to me as far as the storytelling in the beginning goes. But I'm pretty much on page with Nico where the early part where we kind of, see the father-daughter bonding with the uncle and that build up, learning a little bit more about Joel and his character and things like that. I think the writing and a lot of that is really good. I will say, and maybe this is just me and my bias and not being a big gamer of any kind other than sports games. Like I've just pretty much only played sports games my entire life for the most part, minus like Grand Theft Auto. That's about the only non-sports game I was ever into. And so for me, this kind of, and I've talked about it in my notes, once we get, 2 decades down the road, it feels like a video game in a way, like the way it's made, the way it's shot. And I've never played the game. I've never even seen anything from the game, but that's just how it feels. Maybe because I already have it in my head. That's how it's supposed to feel. But it just feels not super interesting to me because I feel like we've done the song and dance before as far as the story goes. Like we've done the how are we going to live in this world where 75% of our population is taken out? Let's find out. And it's almost the same thing every fucking time. And we just keep watching these over and over again. So everything in the past, like everything in the 2003 part of the episode, I think is great. Once we get 20 years later, I'm just not that damn interested, man. And maybe it'll get better. And I'm hoping that it does. But for me, it falls a little bit off a cliff where I'm like, all right, like it says in my notes. I have a lot of notes up until after the third set of scenes. And then I'm just kind of, here. It's fine. Sorry for the rant.
Yeah, this was one that, when it came out, had a ton of buzz online. And I never started it. So I've never seen this series. I've only watched the one episode so far. It was one of those that like I felt like since I didn't play the video game, I probably wouldn't appreciate. But then I just saw so many people love it on Twitter and stuff. I was like, okay, I do need to get around to watching this eventually. So I am glad you picked it. I agree with what you said though, Nico. Like, it did feel like it lost me some once it slowed down so much. It's like I just didn't. It's not that I didn't care. It's just like I wanted something to happen. Like it was really slow. I did care that his brother's gone missing and he's trying to find him. Like that's relatable. Like he's the only person in the world that he's got now that wasn't a stranger when all this started. So I can understand like doing whatever it takes, making deals with shady characters and back alleys, whatever, to try to get what you need to go. So like I did care about that, but I felt like it was really slow. But I think it was very well acted and well written. And so, and just seeing how much people love this series, this season, I guess I should say. I think the second season lost some people, but seeing how much people heaped love upon this season gives me hope and excitement to see it through.
Yeah, and I just want to say that I completely agree with you guys. After the first part, and I say it in my scene by scene, so I'll repeat it, but I think it should have ended there as far as the episode goes. And there's a ton of differences in this and the game, but to that, and listen, none of us, we've I think thoroughly just mentioned it, are experts on the game at all. Maybe we need to later on have a guest. We've talked about it a little bit to talk about the differences some as we kind of get into the season. So just an idea. I don't know. Until then, I am, and I'm sure you guys will too, try to do as much research on the differences in the two in case you guys are gamers or on the fence about watching this.
And something else that I thought was really cool when I clicked play on Max, HBO Max, because I think they went back to that name now. But I think it's really cool that there's an accompanying podcast for this. Like, I didn't catch if it was from the show makers or just from analysts, but there's a podcast that's put out by it's an official podcast. So I think that's pretty cool. They should be able to shine some light on those details as well. And also, because I feel like I think we all can agree with this, we forget about social media comments and questions on the series a lot because we do 10 episodes and we post the graphic before the first episode. I just happen to remind us. Let's just go ahead and knock those out from X real quick, just while I'm thinking about it, because I will forget by the end of the episode. Michelle Mirza said, "Get ready to feel a lot of feelings, guys. So glad you picked this one because it's amazing." Smiley face. Matt Sears, I think he likes this show. He said, I really enjoyed this one. Hope you guys do too. And then the last one we got is from Michael Rusk, who said, "In a Last of Us style mushroom zombie apocalypse, which of you guys would die first? Who would survive the longest? Love the show, guys. Keep up the good work." I'll just go ahead. I'm probably killing myself. I'm going to be honest with you. Go ahead.
Holy shit.
Well,
especially if I'm, I forget his Joel. If I'm Joel, and my daughter dies right in front of me at the hands of who I think is the good guys, there's no hope for the world. I'm done. I'm checking out.
My outcome is going to be based a whole lot on my family's. If it's just me, I probably would have, if I was in Joel's situation, probably would have tried to just pick up that gun and start go-hosing as many people as I could. That just killed my daughter. So I'm not lasting, I'm sure.
And I'll say this too: if I'm not Joel, I'm just me, Dustin, and this really happens, and let's say I don't have a family, I'm literally solo, then I might scope the scene, see if I can find a group that's got some maybe a band of like a volleyball team, a female volleyball team has stuck together, and they need someone to come in and help them out. Like, I might try to provide some muscle for them and ride that out. But if I can't find any hot girls, there's no point in living.
They shot at you, Rick.
Lord.
They shot at you. We're lost. All right, let me stop. I start laughing. That shit's so damn funny.
There are no rules.
All right, let's get into the scene by scene. 1968, we see a panel of doctors speaking on a new television show on a new virus. Dr. Newman says, "Mankind is always at war with a virus, but we always win." He speaks on fungus and how it devours its host from within. What if the world got slightly warmer? What if there were billions of infected puppets? He says that's how we lose as the show cuts. And, there's a lot of dialogue, so bear with me on that. 2003, Sarah gets out of bed to make breakfast, and Joel rolls out of bed slowly, too. He makes Dad talk, and they have his birthday breakfast as Uncle Tommy rolls in. Joel doesn't have soft hands, though, working a double on his birthday. They hear on the radio of disturbances in Jakarta as Sarah tells Pops about his shirt being inside out. The Adlers make conversation offering biscuits, and Joel volunteers Sarah to go over later. Austin, Texas, September 26th. Sarah leaves class and is on the bus home. She's at a watch store getting her dad's fix until a woman storms out demanding they close, and Sarah needs to go home now. Sarah makes it to the Adlers, and she asks if everything is okay. There's a lot of police on the road. Sarah is looking through books as we see Nana tweaking in the background silently. Sarah says she needs to leave, but she sees the dog staring at Nana very strangely. 3 military aircrafts fly over her as she makes it home. Joel makes it home and pops a squat on the couch. He's late and has no cake. She gives him his present, the fixed watch. Joel pops in a movie he loves, and Sarah does fall asleep on him. He gets a call from Tommy who says he's in jail. He needs to be bailed out tonight or he's there all weekend. Joel puts her to bed and then leaves at 11:03. Brian, that's the opening set of scenes. What'd you think?
Yeah, I have my most on this set of scenes. Nico, I got the Spartacus Battiatus reference, so I got that one. This whole prologue newscast, not in the games, kind of interesting to set it in 1968, too. Seems like subtext here, showing us a couple of things here that maybe our outlook was focused on viruses, not fungus, which basically ends up getting us here in this alternate reality. I think it's a really great way to ground this. And if you notice, it kind of cuts to Dr. Newman when he says cordyceps, because that's the real world ant-infecting fungus that Neil Druckmann based the games on here. Also reminds me a lot of I Am Legend and how that opened up with that newscast as well. very Game of Thrones-esque opening credit scenes, I thought. Lots of detail, symbolism in there if you take the time to watch it. Gustavo Santiago, I'm sure I butchered his name, did the composing for this. He also did the games as well. And let me say this, I bitched about the casting earlier, I know, but Nico Parker, who plays Sarah Miller, holy shit, like she is amazing and carries this episode. Not Pedro Pascal, nobody but Nico Parker, in my opinion. Almost wish she could have been Ellie as well, but regardless, without her, I don't get sucked into this episode and care about her and therefore continue on. Just being honest. This sequence is, of course, much longer in the game and, in my opinion, much more effective in letting us get to know Sarah. As I think I said much longer in the game. I meant to say than the game. During this breakfast scene here, an Easter egg, the Miller family unconsciously or somewhat consciously, I guess in Joel's case, as he's on this high-protein, low-carb Atkins diet, avoided food with flour in it the day of the outbreak, and in later years adopted the theory of fungus spreading via infested flour. So this theory was furthered by the beginning of the second episode, which we'll get to next week. And also love the little detail of Joel going to look at his watch and realizing that he doesn't have one, slapping his wrist. Very nice detail. And last little Easter egg that's just like the game. This is the very same pink Hallican drop shirt, band shirt that Sarah wears in the game, but a very cool little detail that's changed. The game takes place in 2013, so the back of the shirt has 2013. This show takes place in 2003, so the shirt on the back has been changed to the 2002 tour for the band. So tons of details, great attention to them, I feel like. I mean, even when she's in school and the glare grabs her attention to that twitching kid, one of the early symptoms. I love the way that it builds tension with that. A ton of tension in this first 18 minutes. Also love how it shows the grandma in the background as she's kind of contorting, and we know she's contracted the virus, but she stays out of focus. I thought that was a great choice there too. The DVD Sarah chooses, another Easter egg. Curtis and Viper 2 is a reference to the game where Ellie actually makes a comment about it being Joel's favorite movie as well. That's all I have.
Yeah. Let me start by saying, and I meant to say it in my open, damn it. Can we stop doing almost movie-length episodes of television shows? Let's go back to television shows either being 30 minutes or an hour. Figure it out. Even if you got to spread it out over more episodes, it's the same amount of money, right? Same amount of editing, same amount of everything. Just chop it up, man. Chop it up. Like fucking, coleslaw. Chop that shit up, man. Come on. Enough of this hour and 20-minute episode of television. It's ridiculous. Stranger Things is the worst fucking offender. Good Lord. Fucking 3 hour, series ending episode that they're about to put out this year. Fuck that. Anyway, okay. So, start my notes now. All of this language that they're using here at the front end hits very different after living through COVID. Like, obviously, not the same kind of pandemic, but, they're using some buzzwords where I'm like, wow, we actually kind of lived through something where people were using this type of language. I thought that was interesting to note here. And I do like when a movie/show, this feels like a movie, so might as well, it kind of explains the situation right off the bat, too. Like, no guessing into a lot of the, what this virus is. We could kind of put that on the shelf. We know what's coming. Now we can dive into the characters, what their story is. I find that a lot more interesting than just like, oh no, what are we going to do now that the world is half gone? Okay. Sorry. This scene where it's Joel's birthday and nothing out of the ordinary here for a man, right? His daughter wants to make him pancakes. He doesn't even like pancakes. Man never gets what he wants on his birthday. I know all my brothers can feel that pain right there. Sorry, that was probably sexist to somebody. Also, this show, explaining geography too. Who wrote this show? A teachers union? I mean, there's like a lot of really good educational pieces along the way here. Sarah seems like such a sweet kid, man. Like a really likable character. Hate what ends up happening. Someone being on Atkins is a very 2003 statement, so very accurate to the time period. And most people just call it keto or low carb now. They don't even mention the word Atkins. It is a little different, but not much. So again, I thought that was kind of a fun attention, like you mentioned, Brian, attention to detail that they have. I personally would hate going to school in a city this big, taking a real ass bus home from school sounds miserable. Not like a school bus, but like, public transportation. Don't like the sound of that. Don't want to do that. Side note here, another rant. I fucking hate pawn shops, by the way. And if you listen to the show and you run one, I'm sorry. I hope you run a good one. But, I've been ripped off by one. I guess you could call that my fault, but whatever. I sold that guy my original Xbox for $100. He turned around and tried to sell for $300. So I knew that going in. I just don't like the business model is all, I suppose. Fuck that guy. Again, we get a very subtle happening in the background while Sarah's flipping through the bookshelf for the old woman. Like, just very subtle, something's wrong with this woman. She doesn't see it, but we as an audience do. Love that shot. It's a great shot. I love the line, drugs. I sell hardcore drugs. I love that line. Again, nice witty banter there. Last thing I have, these two have a very sweet relationship that I'm already invested in. I have an Uncle Tommy who's kind of completes the trio. I think it's a very great set of characters to follow along with. That's why when it stops, for me, the episode comes to a screeching halt.
Yeah, so I do want to mention that this was originally supposed to be 2 episodes. It was gonna end, I think, shortly after it all went down and then pick back up. But HBO was afraid of people not returning to watch episode 2 if the first one ended shortly after 2 kids died. So they meshed 2 episodes into one. So I hear you, and I agree. It's too long, but that's the reason. But anyway, first thing I put down was the good old days, being able to rip cigs while being interviewed on a talk show. I like this open. It sets the tone for what's going to happen with people not being dead but being controlled. I like that. I couldn't help but think that one of the guys in the audience of that talk show looked like Greg Popovich. Shout out to Coach Pop, one of the all-time greats. Opening credits reminded me of a hippie Game of Thrones opening credits sequence. Like, instead of Westeros, we're seeing mushrooms and whatnot. It looked nearly identical. 2003, simpler times. My freshman year of high school and Brian's first year of retirement. Congrats, buddy.
Ban this guy! Get him out of here! All social media, ban this guy!
The neighbors scene really annoyed me. Everything was fine, except they just had to make them less appealing and more off-putting by having the guy stuff something in the old woman's mouth as he offers biscuits. Like, that was unnecessary. Just having them be old neighbors who want you to come over is reason enough for Joel and Tess to want to avoid them. I know that if they were my neighbors, I wouldn't want to go over there. So you don't have to have him be gross with their food or whatever. Anyway. I like the subtle way that they plant seeds that something's wrong. The radio at breakfast, the cops going by the shop, and then the shop closing early. Well done. As was the old lady starting to wig out in her wheelchair behind Sarah, and then the dog sensing that something was wrong. I thought that was really good stuff. I like the dynamic between Joel and Sarah. Seems very realistic. And this is a solid enough open. I'm invested.
2:16 a.m. and Sarah is awakened by helicopter lights. She looks for her dad, but he's still not back. TV stations aren't working, only emergency signals. Dog from earlier is here and whimpering. Something's wrong. Sarah goes outside and calls out for Miss Adler. She goes into the house and finds blood on the floor. She sees Mr. Adler wounded by the fridge and Nana biting Miss Adler's neck. Nana chases after Sarah as Joel and Tommy arrive. He orders her into the truck as Nana breaks a bone running out the house. She charges Joel, who clubs her with a wrench. He drops the wrench to console Sarah and they take off. The Adlers are in the street and they run them over. Police are everywhere as Sarah asks a ton of questions. Joel tells Tommy not to stop for the family on the side of the road and realizes the highway is jammed up. They drive through a field but realize the army has it blocked. They're in the city now and roadblocks are everywhere, civilians running in fear. Put it in reverse, Tommy, as more people flood the streets in a panic. A plane crashes behind their truck and they wake up still inside the flipped over truck. Joel grabs Sarah and she has a hurt ankle. They make it out in time as the cop car crashes into the back of the truck. Joel picks Sarah up and they see the infected eating people. He takes off running and they're almost caught until an army ranger shoots a zombie. Joel tells him his daughter is hurt, but the guy is ordered to execute them. We're not sick, Joel keeps telling them as the two tumble down a hill. Tommy saves Joel and Sarah as Joel realizes Sarah has been fatally wounded. Joel tries to get her up, but he realizes she's dead. And I got to say, that little sequence was some elite television.
Yeah, it was. Just what an action-packed set of scenes here. I love the shot of Sarah when she's walking into the cul-de-sac with Mercy. Very, very creepy. But I love the way that Craig Mazin shot it. and just wow, Sarah has some balls going over to that damn house next door. You definitely notice this empty wheelchair when she walks in. I mean, kind of a little fucked up to realize that in a way, this fungus fixes our physical ailments and makes us more mobile. Kind of freaky. Shout out to Brad Leland here too, who's the guy Sarah finds Deepwater Horizon, Friday Night Lights. He does such a great job acting here, I thought. And the first shot of these spores. And look, I'm going to be honest with you. These creatures I don't love. I just wanted zombies, so it took a lot of getting used to for me personally. Now, the truck scene's absolutely phenomenal. Those long takes from Mason here. There's a 50-second shot in there at one point with people running across the street and everything. So just so much planning that went into that, and it turned out beautifully. I thought the plane crashing, great detail. You can actually see it losing control before it crashes if you're looking at the sky there. Then the wheel blowing by them. When the plane crashing, fun fact, the game over sound effect from the game can be heard. Not like Aliens, game over, man, game over. Not that one. But then we get this just heartbreaking end of this, and honestly, I completely agree. It should have probably been the end of the first episode, and I know they combined two, like Dustin mentioned. It's kind of hard to continue after this, and shocker that I disagree with a studio choice. A few tidbits here. The soldier who confronts Joel and Sarah and is given the order to shoot is played by showrunner and director Craig Mazin. And when she gets shot, her game counterpart's scream is reused. So just gut wrenching, like you said.
Yeah, first thing, my man's got a really nice guitar set up in the corner there. I don't know why I noticed that. Maybe because I have a really nice guitar in this corner that I'm looking at. It was a gift. Before anyone says anything, it was a gift. Calm down. Second, fuck waking up to this situation, man. Like, every apocalypse movie and show that we've done has this happen to one of the characters where they were asleep and the world went to fucking shit while they were asleep. Can we do anything different? Anything at all? That's all I'm saying. Wake up, world's gone to fuck. That sucks. Something different is all I'm asking. It doesn't mean it's not effective. I just want to see something original. That's all. That's like, that's another wrestling reference. But that'd be like doing a dusty finish to every match, okay? So if you're a wrestling fan, you'll understand what I mean by that. Sorry. Anyway, I was not expecting this, blood-sucking cannibalism scene here. Again, totally caught me off guard, especially, by the neighbors there, really effective. I'm like, oh shit, business has really picked up. And again, I like this part of the episode a ton. A massive fucking wrench is an awesome an awesome weapon. And I stand on that. And also you could use a massive fucking wrench in SmackDown, Just Bring It for the PlayStation 2, the third installment in the SmackDown series. You could use a giant fucking wrench as a weapon on that game. Listen, have you guys ever been driving and passed something on the side of the road that's gone up in flames before? Okay, well, I sure have, and except this time it was a full fucking car on fire where it had flipped upside down and you could still see the guy inside burning. That's how slow traffic was moving because the ambulance was not able to get there yet to put out the situation. So that was fucking scary and scarred me for a while, I'm not going to lie. So just a little sidebar there. It's an awful feeling. Life lesson here. Fill up your gas tank when you can. Don't fucking wait because you never know. Apparently, when the end of the world is coming with how many of these shows and movies we've done, it's right around the corner, and you should probably have more than a quarter of a tank left when you're, that way you're ready to go when the world ends. So this motherfucker Tommy here is driving like I used to drive around in Grand Theft Auto. Another Grand Theft Auto reference. Taking his car anywhere and everywhere to get to where he had to go. Beating up motherfuckers is something I would do too. I would hardly ever do the actual story mission. I would just drive around all crazy, crash into shit, and beat up motherfuckers. That's why I like the game for. Great explosion effects there here in this scene. Again, you can say when you walk up to these people that you're not sick. As we've seen in other things, you don't actually know if you're infected or not, right? Especially not yet. So I like that we still have a little bit of mystery going into this, but I wasn't trying to cry. Thanks a lot, Brian. Not that I actually cried, but I felt like I wanted to. Wasn't trying to cry at 6:36. I looked at the time to make note of this. 6:36 a.m. on a Monday morning. But here you go. So thanks a fucking lot, asshole. Suck ass. Great job making me invest in these characters already, though. But like I mentioned, kind of comes to a screeching halt here. I have a decent amount on the next set of scenes, but after that, it really does kind of fall off for me.
Yeah, with all those lights, the different color lights coming through the windows at 2:16 a.m., I was really afraid that this was going to turn into Color Out of Space, and I simply can't bear to watch that again. So I'm glad it didn't go that direction. Of course, she has to go outside when the emergency broadcast says to stay inside. Kids, man. I guess that's just the woman nature. Then she goes into the neighbor's house. Just bad decision after bad decision. When she saw the blood on the floor, she should have ran back home. Granny should have never even known that she was there. And tension does pick up nicely. Joel and Tommy show up and save her when we see the chaos around the neighborhood. I love how it's shot when they drive around with us looking through the windshield from the back seat. It just makes it feel that much more chaotic. I thought that was a great touch. Then the plane crash, just an incredible scene. And Joel being chased by the infected, that's just very stressful. And you think it's over when the soldier saves them, but nope, he opens fire and Tommy saves the day. But then, holy crap, Sarah got shot. This show is insane, feeling all the emotions, and we're only 30 minutes in. So I like it so far.
Yeah. Like, damn, all right. I'm just going to kill a little kid right off the rip. All righty then. 20 years later, Boston 2023, a child makes it to a protected place and he's strapped to a wheelchair. The lady cop comforts him as he's given medicine. We see Joel has made it and is asked to dump this child's body onto a fire. He's shoveling dirt now and goes to collect his wages. He asks the man what other work's available and takes the shitty job in the sewer tomorrow. Shots through the city as we see folks being publicly hanged for their violations. Joel meets with Lee off the beaten path and gets some money from him. Joel gives him some hydrocodone in exchange. Lee gives him advice to stay off the streets at night. It's jumpy. Robert apologizes to Tess for a bad business exchange. Suddenly an explosion happens in the room and they're in, and Tess survives it. She walks out the wreckage as we hear citizens must clear the area. Tess is arrested as she yells she's not a firefly. Ellie is chained up as she kicks her food tray across the floor. She asks to count to 10 slowly, and it ends it with a fuck you to them. She's pissed and yells she's not supposed to be here. Joel skips the line and asks the radio man, but is told he's heard nothing from Tommy. Joel asks where's the tower, and is told there's worse things out there than the infected. So you sure Tommy is okay, he asks. Joel stomps away and goes to his room. He gets some equipment out from his floor and maps out a path to Tommy in Wyoming. He falls asleep to the voice of Tommy from the night Sarah died. Tess joins him in bed, and he wakes up and she brings him a hot drink. He checks her wounds out, and he's told the battery was sold to someone else. Joel is ticked. He can't get to Tommy without it. She tries to calm him down as she tells him she doesn't know where Robert or his men are. Kim and Marlene get into a discussion over attacking the Fedras and escaping with the random girl. Kim supports her after reading the note from the tower man in Salem. Brian's next set of scenes, what'd you think?
Well, it definitely takes me a while to get my bearings here after that time jump and kind of processing what I just watched in the first half hour of the show, still feeling that death. And, it takes a while to figure out that this military presence is basically like the video game's version or the show's version of FEMA. So probably just as corrupt. But I did think it was great set design of Boston. I'm going to give Nico LePage and Don McCulley credit as art directors, but shows like this have hundreds that deserve that credit. And yeah, like we need some more emotional scenes. Being able to identify the dead kid by his shoes as one of the bodies that Joel's throwing into the truck, absolutely horrific. In the game, we're actually introduced to this by an adult in the streets being shot here. But I saw an interview that said that they put this scene in with Joel cradling the body to parallel him carrying Sarah the same way that the last set of scenes, but this time he's completely emotionless and dead inside. This was actually supposed to be the original ending of the episode, apparently as well. I know we've discussed that, but this is where it was supposed to really end. I love the detail of Joel needing the bag back from the soldier. It kind of makes sense that they'd be in limited supply, but it's not a detail that you need until it's there. We're introduced to Tess, and I love Anna Torv. She was on The Fringe. I have no idea why, but I've always been very attracted to her and Carrie Coon, and I think they both look very similar. So, oh yeah, she's a great actress as well. I meant to say that. But now this battery is a difference from the game and the show. in the game, it was a stash of guns they stole from Joel and Tess. But as we find out in season 2, the kind of showrunners, let's just say, go in a different direction without being controversial there. But I love the way that it's shot on the street with Tess here too, and the soldiers as well. Definitely shaky single cam. We see a lot of that throughout. Shows us the chaos of the moment very well. It's kind of fucked up how the radio dude takes Joel's cigarettes bribe first before he tells him that there's been no news. Motherfucker, those were $5 extra earlier. Thanks for nothing, asshole. And Ellie here, I agree with what Nico said. She gets on my damn nerves bad here. But here's some advice. You can be an asshole and not ugly, and the other way around, but you can't be an asshole and ugly. You're unlikable.
Bars.
Do I need to cut that? I don't know. Let me know. But either way, that's all I
had. Hey, man, 20 years later, and Boston still looks like shit. Ha ha, just kidding. If we have any fans from Boston, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say that. It kind of looks like shit. I will say, and like I mentioned in my open, the city skyline looks like it's straight up out of a video game. I'm guessing that's a little bit on purpose. Is this accurate? You know, people who have played the game, write in. Let me know. Is that skyline accurate to video game detail? It looks like it could be, and it's interesting, right? I mean, again, if that was its intention, then it was nailed. So good job there. Look, this is why I hate a lot of the post-apocalyptic stuff, depending on the movie, because 20 years has passed, and no one has risen to organize things enough where we could get the few remaining scientists and doctors together to try to take care of the virus / rebuild society. Like, we're just still Lord of the Fliesing it 20 years later. Like, I don't know, man. Like, we're advanced enough. I think we could rebuild a little quicker than they did. When we had stone tools and shit. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Just something that always sticks with me. I'm like, it's been 20 years. I mean, the freaking Planet of the Apes rose faster than this thing. I mean, this is ridiculous. That's all I'm saying. It's just the issues with my issue with a lot of these movies is I would prefer the instant aftermath than years and years down the road, personally. And then we get public hangings, man. We're really going back to the times of the Crucible and shit, man. That's crazy. Okay. Interesting there. All jokes aside here, in this world, and I've said this I think I've said this on every one of these that we've done. I would be drunk or high all the time. Let's start there. Okay. Because I'm not going to organize things. Hopefully somebody else does that. That's why I get to sit back and be a hypocrite. But the second thing is, drug dealer sounds really good and lucrative in this world, right? I mean, again, having the ability to get drugs, it's like being one in prison. You're kind of the man on campus. That sounds like a pretty sweet deal as long as you don't get yourself in any kind of deep shit. Anyway, look, Brendan Fletcher is a character actor. He's in so many movies and so many TV shows. If you go to his IMDb, he's got some part in everything in the last 30 years, from a little kid all the way to now. I didn't even list them all. Just go look up Brendan Fletcher. He's in this scene here. And listen, I don't remember. Maybe you guys learned differently at your elementary school, but I never learned fuck you when I learned to count. I mean, goddamn, man, I learned from the count himself how to count Sesame Street. He never went, fuck you. He never did that in his count. So I think she's wrong, Ellie, with your bad attitude. Get out of here. Anyway.
Well, this just to be fair, Sesame Street has been defunded, so
that's true. I don't know. The count probably didn't teach me how to count right anyway. No wonder I'm bad at math. So, this seems like a society that has devolved into absolutely almost no freedom, right? Like, and they kind of touch on that topic of being free, being under really harsh government rule. They kind of touch on that, and I would just argue it's entirely unnecessary to be under this kind of strict government control in this world. To me, I mean, 75% of your population dies off. I feel like you just need better leadership. I need somebody to step up. And I know what Nico would do, and I know what Dustin would do. Actually, I know what all three of you would do. You know who you bring in if society falls like this? Brown Jacket Jimbo Fisher. That's who you bring in. The closer, baby. He'll figure it the fuck out. He knows what's coming. Only 6 people listening to the show will get that reference, but God damn it, he would do a better job than these fucks are doing. That's all I'm saying. Look, this was really the first sign of letting us know that Joel and Tess are an item. We meet Tess already, and she's, again, a character I'm not invested in yet. I've only watched the first 3, still not super invested, so hopefully that gets a little better. But they just kind of drop that very casually here, that they're in the same bed, working, sleeping, staying together, one of those. I don't know. I will say, and I know my brother Dustin can agree with me on this, Tess is the one who fucks up, and she just expects Joel to fix everything and be okay with it. Like, that's just supposed to be what he does. Takes no accountability for her fucking up her actions. Nothing. Just expects him to be there to pick up the pieces. That's what I'm saying, man. It's fucked up. I don't appreciate that. Joel's too nice of a guy, in my opinion. Got to stand up, stand on business. Last thing I hear, we don't have much detail about these women or Ellie or what this situation is, but I am interested to see how it unfolds. I just don't think the payoff in this episode is super interesting. It gets a little better after watching ahead.
Yeah, I was relieved at the time that they slowed us down here, because that was an insane set of scenes that we just saw. So slowing us down some here at the time was welcomed. In retrospect, I think they slowed down a little bit too much. And then, 20 years in a world like this, that takes some incredible strength to be able to keep going, especially after your daughter was killed on your birthday. My man Joel, he's shipping up to Boston like Dropkick Murphys. I don't understand that. He was in Texas before. Boston? I mean, no disrespect to any listeners we may have from Boston, but I'm not a fan of Boston in present day. Why on God's green earth would you go there? Anyway, I do like the depiction of New Boston, because it would be easy to paint the image of, this is a sanctuary and it's happy-go-lucky. Hey, we're all alive, we have stability, but making it grim and corrupt, that's a very likely and good call by the showrunners. And I guess the game, I don't know. But, that seems much more likely. Corruption, I said it when we were doing, I don't remember what episode, I guess 28 days later. Corruption, people aren't going to stop being bad just because there's a threat of the apocalypse. Like, people are still bad people at their core. So I like that. It's realistic. Tension picks back up here with the explosion and gunfire in the streets, and then Tess gets grabbed. And then, man, I'll tell you, that little Veronica, a.k.a. Leanna Mormont, as you said, she's got a mouth on her. If soap still exists in this world, she needs a mouthful. Goodness. And then, I promised him you wouldn't hurt him, but I want you to hurt him anyway. Women. They'll lie right to your face and plot on you. Unreal. But we're getting some good story progression here, and I'm still liking it.
Shout out to our lady listeners. We love y'all and appreciate y'all. Joel watches Tess do business as some random dude tries to tell Joel to look at the light, but is told his jaw will be broken, so he walks off. Tess and Joel walk off talking business in pursuit of Robert. Marlene tosses Ellie a bag and sits beside her. She puts the knife away and asks why she stopped them from shooting her. She unlocks a shackle and is told she has a greater purpose than she can imagine. Joel and Tess make it inside a locked building, and she finds a fungus corpse, I assume, stuck to the wall. They see blood run under the door and find all of Robert's men, and he dead. Joel and Tess find Marlene, Kim, and Ellie. He asks why they need a car battery, and Joel is told he must take Ellie to the Boston Firefly headquarters. She promises him anything he needs, she'll get it if he does it. Marlene orders Ellie to get her backpack, and she leaves with Joel and Tess. Don't fuck this up, please, Marlene tells him. Tess puts Ellie in a room so she and Joel can make a plan. Ellie starts snooping around, and Joel enters and plops on the couch. Ellie asks for the secret code and points out his watch is broken. Joel awakes, and Ellie asks about being outside the wall and if they'll be okay. Joel asks what makes her special. Ellie tricks Joel and says she's figured out the codes. Tess returns, and they all put on jackets to do their mission. And the next set of scenes is the ending, but I kind of got tricked by the runtime, so there's only about 6 minutes left in the last set of scenes.
Gotcha, bitch. Great practical effects, I thought, in the set of scenes when Tess and Joel came upon that fungus corpse, as you called it, on the wall. Something else I think is interesting that I didn't notice on my first watch at all, but Joel and Tess come across, is it Robert? I think it's Robert. And his guys, they're already dead. it's also worth noting that we don't see it happen. Also earlier, we didn't see Tess really get her ass kicked by Robert's crew. And we didn't really see those people hanged earlier either. I mean, it's HBO. So I think that's a specific choice for the next set of scenes we'll kind of get into. Now, Ellie finding the code sheet from BF. That's really explained in episode 3, I think. But that B and F stand for Bill and Frank, who we made later on. So just another little detail I didn't catch till the second watch I wanted to throw in there.
Like I've mentioned a lot already, I'm just not that interested in this last back half. It's fine. And, there's some good stuff and good character development, but I think because of the way it was edited, it makes it drag by accident. Like episode 2 and some of episode 3 is good. But, here I just felt like, we were so here and we had that emotional ending. It would have been really nice to take that break. We don't get one, so it just kind of feels slower comparatively. But there's still some good stuff. Joel is definitely a hardened man by all of this, right? I mean, you could tell he was tough before, but kind of had the sensitive side. It feels like a lot of that side is not gone, but it's definitely tampered down. He feels, grizzled by the last 20 years and what he's been through. And, we got to talk about this in our chat. Are we supposed to like Ellie? Like, she's a hard ass, and that's fine, but she's like, what, 14 in this show? I don't know. I didn't take ages. But, and she's cussing like this. Now, listen here. I also cuss like that at 14, but not to adults. That's fucked up. That's not what you do. Even in this post-apocalyptic society, we can still keep our manners. You got to wait until you're at least 18 to cuss around the grown folk. Come on, man. I will say this little jump scare on Tess cracked me up. I let out a good chuckle there. Tried to save this girl, and they're going to end up, these women are going to end up dying for their troubles, man. Just, again, am I supposed to like Ellie? What's the deal here? Anyway, so they didn't really explain the situation between, or at least that I caught, between Joel, Tess, and these women whose names are slipping me. I didn't write them down, and Ellie. Like, what's the beef / connection / what are they in this together for? Like, I missed it if they mentioned it, but it just kind of feels super random to me. Like, are they passing Ellie off? Are they, like, I'm not quite grasping it. And at least for this episode, when I took these notes. So again, we're going off of one episode. As usual, Joel, the man, has way too much post-apocalyptic pressure on himself, man. He's supposed to be supportive and be kind and be patient and build shit and sell shit. And damn, is anyone else going to step up and do some fucking work around here except for Joel? Justice for my man Joel, man. It's time for somebody else to step up to the table. This is fucking ridiculous. Tess hasn't done anything in this whole episode that I've seen so far. Have y'all seen her do anything besides just fucking be there?
You need to relax on Tess. That's my girl. She's great.
Nah, she's
I'm
a
sure
manipulative
she ends up
woman.
great, but this
No. Oh, God, no.
Witchy woman. Oh, sorry. I was just singing the Eagles, bro. I'm just singing the Eagles. I'm just kidding. Tess does get better. It's fine. Look, Ellie is at least smart and aware. I guess you kind of have to be in this world no matter the age. Last thing, I actually really do like the touch of the decades being kind of, the decades of music being code for each thing. I really like that. That's kind of fun. And, we obviously, spoiler for the next set of scenes, get the 80s played at the end. I think that's fun.
Yeah, slows down more early in this set of scenes. I mean, a lot more. We do find out Veronica's real name and some of her backstory, though. That was a lot of gunfire. Fedra's going to be on the way. Joel and Tess didn't hear any of it. We didn't hear any of it, so I don't think Fedra heard it. I don't like that. That was a miss for me. Really don't have much on this set of scenes besides that. I'm ready for the ending.
Yeah, speaking of the ending, here's about 6 minutes worth of television. Military is shining lights throughout the streets and into buildings. Ellie's annoying ass, as soon as she exits, stands up shouting, "Holy shit, I made it outside." The three navigate through water pipelines and are almost spotted. A soldier taking a leak spots them, and it's Lee. He orders them to their knees and hands on their head. Ellie stabs him as he scans her neck. Lee doesn't stand down, and Joel has a flashback to when Sarah died from the soldier's gunshot. He tackles him and pummels him. Tess shows Joel her test shows she's sick. She makes her case that she isn't sick, and they hear sirens. They take off and enter a Fedra infection zone. Joel's radio plays Never Let Me Down by Depeche Mode. The episode ends as we see wrecked buildings in the storm. Brian, that's the ending. What'd you think?
Yeah, going back to what I was referring to in that last set of scenes with the violence being held off until now, that was a deliberate choice to kind of show the rage built up in Joel and have it all boil over here on that soldier, because in the game, he and Tess shoot all sorts of folks. Like, there's no discrimination there. But during this time in the game, so it was definitely a show choice. Is it effective? Is it not? I don't know, but I understand why they made the choice. And I read a quote from Craig Mazin here about this moment too, about Ellie. He said, quote, "When Ellie watches Joel beating the soldier to death, she is basically activated. She likes it." And that was a direct parallel to when Sarah saw him kill that infected version or infected person at the start and was crying earlier in the episode, end quote. And I thought this was an interesting quote as well. We think of love as this beautiful thing, but we wanted to also explore the notion that unconditional love can be very problematic. Real words have never been spoken. I think it's interesting that this bond forming between Ellie and Joel can be looked at as not a very good thing.
So, is this supposed to be a tunnel system, a sewer system? Like, is Raphael Michelangelo down there hanging out? Like, what's going on? I don't know what they're crawling around in anyway. Is it Andy Dufresne's River of Shit? I don't know what's going on. I like this scene a lot, though, even though I'm a little confused as to where they're going, why they're going there, and how it all came to be. I still like how intense it is. I think it's shot really well. And I love that Joel beats yet another motherfucker's ass, right? Like, does another kill, and that is a parallel, like you mentioned, Brian. Last thing I really have here is I just love this ending shot. It's a great tip that things are about to hit the fan, since we already kind of touched on the decades of music and what they mean. We get an 80s song to kind of hit the outro. I thought it was a nice touch.
Tension picks up when they get busted sneaking out. And I like that Joel had the flashback to when his daughter got shot. I thought that was impactful right before he blacked out. I like the added wrinkle of Ellie scanning red and her having to convince Tess that she's not sick. It adds more intrigue to her character. And we saw it earlier. Like, why was she chained up? Why was she telling them that she's fine, she's not sick, and all this? So I like that. It's a solid first episode. I'm invested in where the story appears to be heading. I gave this one an 8.5.
That's fair. I don't know what I would rate it, because I thought some stuff was like 10 out of 10, and other stuff I was just like, I don't know, maybe like a 6, just because I wasn't super invested. Maybe it's just because I haven't played the video game either. It's like I don't know what world we're building. It just feels like a zombie show. You know what I'm saying? But even like the Walking Dead season 2 episode 1 was it was a longer episode, but I don't know. It felt more well paced. I was more familiar with the characters too, but I don't know. It just felt more well paced to me.
Yeah, I think that this one definitely would have benefited from staying as 2 episodes.
Yeah,
like that first chunk of what we saw. I know it's tough. Like, I can understand if some people didn't tune back in because the last thing they saw was 2 kids die, and they think, "Oh God, this show's just about killing kids." I get that, but for me, it's like, "Oh my God, if they're willing to kill 2 kids in the first episode, I can't wait to see where they take it."
Dude, that's a 10 out of 10. The first episode, well, they cut it at the end with the soldier.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. Immediately hooks me for the next episode, which, by the way, I think we've all watched enough TV now. You kind of expect more of a down second episode in the first place as far as pace goes. Right. Like, we bring them up to bring them back down, and then we'll pick them back up again, right? And so I think the end of this episode does pick it back up. But I think it would be totally fine 20 years later, starts that second episode, and we're kind of going a little bit slower. We're familiar with the characters. We had some time to kind of sit on it for a little bit, pause. And so, yeah.
And they can explain why they went to Boston, too. Because, I mean, Austin, Texas to Boston, that's a long ride.
Yeah.
Because you got to walk or drive or horseback because there's no flying no more.
Yeah. The only exception I can think of off the top of my head of what you said, Mike, about the second episode taking a step back is The Office, because episode 2 is Diversity Day, and that's one of the best episodes ever. So.
Good point.
Never seen that.
I fucking love that episode. You can't air it anymore, by God.
Y'all got any fun facts or any trivia you want to share?
I got a couple.
I've got a couple. Go ahead.
Okay. And I tried to delete some that were said throughout, so if I repeat, you know the drill. Merle Dandridge plays Marlene, a character she also portrayed in the video game. This makes her the only actor to play the same character in the show, the first game, and its sequel. Ashley Johnson, Troy Baker, and Jeffrey Price also star in both games as Ellie, Joel, and Tommy, respectively, and in the show, but unlike Dandridge, they will be playing different characters than the ones originally played in the games. The first shot of Sarah's room is of her curtains mirroring the menu screen of the first game. And I already said about the episodes being split. And then the last one I've got is when the trio is spotted by Lee outside the quarantine zone, the getting spotted sound effect from the game can be heard.
You only have two. The clicker sound is made by the same two actors who perform the male and female clicker voices in the video game. And the first season has a 46-year-old Pedro Pascal portraying both a 36-year-old and a 56-year-old Joel.
I wonder if he got that leg surgery before he went to Boston. Do you know, Dustin?
Good inside heat there. Go watch Materialist, A24, fantastic movie. Dakota Johnson redeemed herself. She's back on my good side. Fantastic actress, and she's beautiful.
What?
But also,
that movie's good, but it fucked me up, man. I'm not watching.
I told Nico, I think she's just been cast in. She's accepted the wrong roles. She's been cast in the wrong roles because she was great in this. She was great in the 50 Shades. Like she's good in that kind of role. Like a woman who either grows into becoming powerful or is just a woman. Like Madam Web, that was doomed from the start. She doesn't have the charisma. Anyway, that's a side tangent.
Well, that was awful. That was just an awful movie all the way around.
It was. And you mentioned Pedro Pascal. Friend of the show, Aaron Cabrera, said it. We were texting not that long ago. He said he's kind of suffering from Pedro Pascal fatigue. Yeah, I think I am too, man. He's in everything. Yeah, he is great. Don't get me wrong. I love him.
He is in everything. But I've watched all the Mandalorian. He's in. Now he's in Fantastic Four.
Gladiator 2.
Gladiator Eddington. 2, I know
absolutely.
You're looking forward to Eddington, Brian.
I am looking. Yeah,
I know Brian's looking forward to Eddington big time.
Shout out to RES.
What? Oh yeah, can't wait.
a COVID Dustin, Western. I know you can't wait.
I got to get you a peek behind the curtain. Peek behind the curtain for Dustin here, okay? I was going to start. I hate that you just said that about Dakota Johnson because I was going to start a bit this week with 6 degrees of Dakota Johnson. And obviously, Pedro Pascal is a 1 degree away, right? Because they're in the Materialist together. But for the fuck's sake of it, let's go 6 degrees. So Dakota Johnson was in The Social Network with Jesse Eisenberg, who was with Kristen Stewart in Adventureland. And Kristen Stewart was in Snow White and the Huntsman with Chris Hemsworth, who was in Thor Ragnarok. Is that how you say that? With Tessa Thompson.
Ragnarok.
Tessa Thompson worked with Oscar Isaac in Annihilation, who worked with Pedro Pascal and Triple Frontier. That would have been a lot more fun than saying, yeah, these two were in the Materialist together. So I picked a bad week to start it from the game standpoint, and now you like her. This fucking sucks, man.
He got rid of the Dakota Johnson Award in 1 week.
To quote the great Jim Calhoun, you want me to say I effed up? I effed up. I took Emeka Okafor. He's not bad. Like I was wrong about her. She just took the wrong roles. In the role that's right for her, she shines. She's great, and she is so pretty.
Man,
that was a good movie. Material. I highly recommend Material. It's a great movie.
Yeah, I agree. Shout out to our spinoff show, the A24 podcast, hosted by Brian. Coming soon.
Oh, yes, coming soon.
I've been looking for a reason to retire. All right, Mike is on some nut shit. Let's get out of here. We appreciate y'all tuning in.
Thank you so much, everybody. I'll see you next week. And in the meantime, take care of yourself.
Just want to remind everybody.